What's up, everybody? It is your favorite curly girl, Nia Imani, here back with another video. And today, if you read the title above, honestly I don't even know what the title of this video is, but pretty much I'm going to be letting you guys know we're talking about some things, because this is not everything that I've learned in relationships and in love, but I just want to share some things, you know, that I learned when it came to dealing with people, when it came to dealing with adults, their emotions, and how they perceive love, and how I've experienced love. No way, shape, or form do I know everything, and no way, shape, or form am I giving you advice. These are just some things that I learned while I wanted to give you all like a cute little, you know, Valentine's Day glam look. Y'all know I am the queen of neutral. Y'all know I love me some orange, brown, gold eyeshadow, but I definitely want to come and give you all something cute for Valentine's Day. And that's really that. If you do, you know, please be sure to comment in this video, because I definitely want this to be a video where we're able to interact and learn from each other. So if there's some things that you've learned throughout dating, throughout, you know, being in relationships, please be sure to give your insight in the comments below, because you never know how helpful that could be to the next person as well as myself. But honestly, yeah, I hope you are subscribed, and if you are subscribed, definitely be sure to turn on the bell post notification so you never miss an upload. I'm back on my consistent shit, and that's on period. So enough with the chit chat. Let's just jump right in the video. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you soon. What's up, y'all? I'm so happy to be back in front of this camera and giving you guys a look. Okay, ooh, if you can afford it, okay, I would say go to your nearest Sephora and get you some of this Laneige. It's a little bright, but this is the Laneige Lip Glowy Balm. I have it in this flavor pear and peach. Lips never dry, never dry, never dry. But if you have read the title above, you already know what we're finna be talking about. I felt like this was like the most, I would say, suiting video to make, especially since Valentine's Day is rapidly approaching. And most of my viewers or my subscribers, you know, my audience is, I would say, we're in a dating age. I don't think there's ever a time that isn't a dating age, because people date from middle school until they're 80. So I don't know, I started dating when I was in middle school, and I wouldn't call that real love or anything like that, but I started dating in high school, and then I also dated in college. I will give you guys a little background. Let me start doing my makeup, because that's what the whole point of this is. Yeah, I want to give you guys a nice little Valentine's Day soft glam look, you know. But I'm going in with Jackie Aina's palette today, and I'll show you guys the rest of the stuff that I use. But basically, I have some notes too. Pretty much I started dating at a younger age, but what I will say, what I realized very first, like very early on when it came to dating, especially when I feel like a lot of times your first what is it called, experience with dating is with your parents, and the things that I saw in my home were things that I know that I personally did not want for myself. And I know a lot of times people, what they see in the home is what they go out and replicate, but for me, like, I was very intuitive with myself, and I realized, you know, the relationship that my parents have, that's their relationship, but that's not necessarily the relationship that I want for myself. And I've honestly used that as a model in some cases for how I go about dating. And if, you know, if similar flags that I've seen in their relationship, I know that that's not what I want, you know. All right, so let's get into this look. First I'm gonna start off with Supreme from the Jackie Aina palette. But basically, the first thing I really want to talk about when it comes to dating, and I've had my share of dating, you know, I think it's so cliche to say, but it's very extremely important that you have to really love yourself. And like, I know that we preach about like loving ourselves so much, like everybody is talking about it, like, you know, self-care is loving yourself, and this is what love is, and make sure that you are just nurturing your soul. But nobody really talks about like the nitty-gritty and like what it really means to love yourself. You know, that's probably one of the hardest things that we can do, I would say, especially as women, because we're such nurturing people, and we give that we forget to give to ourselves. So, you know, and I've even been in situations where I was like trying to, you know, be so much and be so involved and so engulfed into the relationship that I forgot about myself. And I see so many women, so many times, they forget about themselves. They forget about the love to give to themselves, you know. And for me, what I think about self-love is, it's confidence. Like, it's literally knowing yourself. And like, knowing yourself can sometimes be a very hard task to do, because it's a lot lot of shit that we don't want to acknowledge about ourselves. We don't want to sometimes come to that realization that this is who we are, these are the things about us. And a lot of times people don't want to change. A lot of times people don't want to grow, and they're fine with complacency. And that's why you see so many women in bullshit relationships, because they don't love themselves. They're not confident within themselves, and they might not have the, you know, self-love is having the will, the power, the strength to say that this is what I deserve, this is what I require, this is what I need out of life. And if these none of what you can give me, or not even what you can give me as a partner, but these are the things that I want for myself, and anything less than that is unacceptable, and I'm not gonna have it. I'm not gonna take it. And sometimes we sell ourselves short as individuals, and that's what I mean by not loving yourselves. So like with self-love, you have to be very sure and very certain in who you are, and that takes time. You know, like I mentioned, I've been in situations where I didn't love myself, and I quickly learned, okay, Nia, you have to step outside of this, and you need to love yourself more. You need to know who you are. You need to know, you know, what you want out of this life. You need to know who you are as a person, because nobody else can tell you who you are as a person. And a lot of times people do lean on relationships as a tool to develop, and it's not. You know, as a human, I mean, when it comes to relationship, whether it's platonic, whether it's family relationships, whether it's romantic relationships, you can't rely on people to define who you are. You literally have to know who you are, because the way that we deal with people, if you don't know who you are, you can allow their opinions, you can allow how they treat you and how they act towards you to kind of make it seem like that's, you know, if they treat you bad, you feel like that's your worth. Or if they treat you good, you feel like the only reason that you are good is because of them. It's like, no, you have to know who you are deep down inside, what you bring to this world, what you want from this world, and not taking anything less than that. So when I say self-love, it's really getting down to the nitty-gritty of who you are as a person, and understanding that you don't need anyone. You know, like, you don't need anyone. And I don't say that in a, I don't need anybody in this world. No, like, you literally you need yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to be strong by yourself, and that when you are with others, whether it's friends, whether it's romantic relationships, anything like that, that is an addition to your life. That is not a necessity. You don't need people. Nobody should, you know, we shouldn't be so codependent in our relationships that we forget who we are. And I think a lot of times people feel like that's how relationships should be structured. You know, you need me. If you weren't, you know, if you didn't have anything, it's because of me that you have this. No. And I definitely think that life is a symbiotic place, in a symbiotic situation, but I just don't think that when it comes to relationships, that should be that's the foundation. That should be the foundation. Two people should be able to come together and be whole. You know, if somebody is not whole and then someone else is whole, all the person who is not whole is going to do is suck away and take away from the person who is whole in a lot of situations. So that's when I feel like a relationship is good, when it's two people who love themselves, who know themselves, and who are, you know, that you don't have to be whole all the way, but who are confident and who understand what they can bring to the table. If you don't know what you can bring to the table, or if you bring it all to the table, the person who's on the other end, the receiving end, all they're going to do is take. Okay, so before I even move on to my next point, what I really just want to get from this first point about self-love is I just really want everyone to take the time to get to know themselves and get to know who you are as an individual, outside of what people have told you who you are, outside of the opinions of people, and outside of that voice in your head that tells you you're not shit, you're worthless, you're jealous. And everybody might not have that experience, but I know that we all have things that we are insecure about, and that, you know, we wish to strengthen in our lives, but sometimes we get bogged down by all the negativity that we focus so much on that negative piece of us that we forget about all of the amazing things that we are. So I just want you to take the time to get to know who you are, and to just love that person, and to understand that we are all flawed, and that's just the reality of life. But self-love is literally just having that will to acknowledge places that you can grow as an individual, and actually taking that initiative to grow in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, that's what I mean by self-love. And if you aren't someone who loves yourself, I'm gonna just be very honest with this. You know, people who are narcissistic and people who are manipulative, they can spot that out, and they will literally manipulate that, you know, if you don't love yourself, they will manipulate that and they will suck you dry. They will take you for everything that you have. And if you love yourself, you're strong and nobody can take that away from you. So I just want you to just remember to love yourself and to just take a little bit of what I said in mind. You don't have to do it for real if you don't want to, but I just want everyone to, you know, love themselves and know themselves. Okay, so my next point is be clear on what you want from a partner, whether that's in friendships, whether that's romantic, because a lot of times people forget that love is more than just a romantic relationship. It is, you know, who you deal with on a day-to-day basis, because love comes in so many shapes and forms and it's expressed in so many different ways. And you know, if your friends don't love you the way that you want to be loved, and they don't, if they're toxic, that's just as detrimental as a bad relationship with the partner. So what I mean by being clear on what you want is more so like, for me, I know that when it comes to a partner, I want someone who's honest. I want someone who, you know, knows how to take accountability for their actions. I want someone who is financially, you know, literate, or who hopes to be financially literate. Someone who is working through childhood traumas, if they ever had any, who is responsible enough to go see a therapist if their mental, you know, space is not the best. You know, I want someone who's going to take initiative as a partner, who's going to court me, who's going to love me, who's going to respect me and be kind. In the event that I'm dating someone, or I'm in a relationship, or if I see myself, you know, dealing with people and those are not attributes that they have, I'm able to say, well, maybe this is not the best fit for me. You know, just because something's not the best fit for me, that doesn't mean that the person isn't a great person. It just means that they're not the person for me. So the reason I say it's important for you to be clear on what you want out of a partner is because a lot of times we get into situations where we get so infatuated and so blinded by how people look and how they treat you on the outside, or how they treat you initially, that we kind of forget, you know, our non-negotiables. And because, you know, they sex you so good, or they talk to you so good, and they look so good, we forget a lot of times about, you know, places where they lack. And I don't think everybody lacks in areas, but I know that a lot of times people get stigmatized, or they get super infatuated. I've been in situations where I was so infatuated. I'm like, me and this person we have nothing in common. We're literally not aligned. Like, we're not the persons for each other, but damn, you are fine as fuck. So, you know, it could be so hard when we so focused on some things that are not that important, that we forget to remember, you know, what we want out of a partner. And I don't think that I don't think that every person, like, a lot of times people be like, oh, I'm dating to marry. That sounds good in theory, but imagine marrying a person that you started dating at 16. I'm sure that that would not be the best partner for you at this moment. You know, I think that dating is an experience that we have, and we can learn a lot about those situations that we get ourselves in, because it shows you, you know, what you want out of a partner and what you don't want out of a partner. And honestly, those things change, just like the things that you want out of life, they change. But honestly, having some core values or some core things that you seek when it comes to what you want out of a relationship, I think that's just helpful. I think it's just guidelines, you know. These are some things that I want. If you have them, and I don't think that people should have or will have 100% of what you're looking for as a partner, because realistically speaking, we're not 100% who we want to be, right? But if you say, okay, when I meet people, they at least got to be at 80%, and the person that you fucking with is only at 30, don't even waste your time. You know. So I just think it's very clear. I mean, it's a good idea to be very clear on what you want out of a partnership, so that, you know, there's no room for error when when shit hits the fan. Because I'm gonna be real honest with you, in college I experienced a lot of my friends in situationships where they wanted a relationship, they treated the situationship like a relationship, and technically situationships are relationships, but they expected so much more from people that were literally emotionally unavailable. And you know, a lot of times people get so caught up in situations where people, you know, they want, you know, this, and they expect this type of loyalty from people who are very clearly not going to give them that just simply by their actions. So, you know, a way to avoid that is being clear on what you want. If you go into a situation and you know that you want a relationship, and that person's specifically or explicitly out their mouth says, I don't want a relationship, you should just already know that that's not a situation that you want to be in, you know? So just be clear on what you want, be concise, and honestly, don't forget to have fun when it comes to dating, because everything doesn't have to be so serious. If you do want to have friends with benefits, or if you want to have casual sex, make sure that that person's on that same wave. Sometimes you be wanting to have casual sex and this person trying to get married, and it's just like, well damn, like these are not my intentions. But if y'all not clear on what you want up front, that leaves a lot of room for guessing and assumptions, and you don't want that shit when it comes to relationship. You want it to be clear. You want it to be no room for confusion, because when you assume, you make an ass out of yourself, and that's never a good idea. Okay, so number 3, and I'm about to smoke this look up a little bit with some purple. This is such a cliche ass Valentine's Day look. Should I do purple? Because I did say I want to keep it soft glam. What y'all think? I mean, I know y'all not here to tell me. I'm gonna try to add like a matte shade on the lid, and then I'm gonna see if I want to do the purple. Okay, but my thought number 3 is to trust your intuition. If you feel something in your gut, in your spirit, in your soul, lead with that. You know, a lot of times when you feel like something is not right, when you feel like something is wrong, or even when you feel like something is going good, trust it. You know, like I just mentioned, don't be blinded by the dick, don't be blinded by the pussy, don't be blinded by people's words. More so be, you know, trust people's actions, because people show you exactly who they are in the beginning. So if you feel at ease, if you feel comfortable, you know, with the people that you're dating, if you feel like yourself, you feel like these are people that, like a person that you can talk to, that's honest with you, that's open, that's vulnerable with you, and all of these things don't unfold all at once, but if you can feel that this is a safe environment, this is a safe space, trust your intuition. If you feel that this is an environment that's not safe, if you feel like this relationship is rocky, it's always drama, it's always confusion don't come from God. So clarity, you know, is what's important, and then just trust your intuition. I'll give you a very good example. Give me one second, let me grab this shade. I used to date this girl, and like off rip, I should have just seen the signs. It was just drama from jump. Like this girl she was fucking with, that I didn't even really put 2 and 2 together at the time, lived in my dorm. And then I guess the girl found out me and her started fucking with each other. This girl literally brought her shit to my doorstep, and I was just like, wait. She was like, this her stuff. I'm just like, okay, I'll give it to her. And I didn't think nothing of it. Like, I was so fucking gullible, but like that was already just the start of drama. But yeah, that was like already just the start of drama. And like other things would kind of came up as we started dating. Like a perfect example, I was about to go out with my friends, and like somebody who's narcissistic, they're gonna do stuff like this. They're gonna tell you like, oh, these people aren't your friends, they're just using you, essentially trying to isolate you from people who care about you. And that's just a way for them to keep you to themselves and to, you know, to control you, because at the end of the day, narcissistic people just, that's what they want to do. They want to control you, and they want their world to revolve. They want you to revolve around their world, basically. And that shit happens slowly but surely. Like it started with the drama with the girl. It started with, oh, those not your friends, those just people who using you, to it being an actual physical altercation eventually, where we got to fighting, and it just all became too much within a short period of time. You know, if I would have trusted my intuition and said, you know, even the first time she even said something crazy out her mouth and decided to walk away, I could have saved myself a whole year of bullshit, but I didn't lead with my intuition. But you know, I'll talk about another thing. Another point in this conversation is more so just understanding that each relationship that you go through is to make you stronger, and you have to reflect on something from that relationship. Even if it was the shittiest relationship you've ever been in, what are you going to take from it that's going to make you stronger, is going to be, you know, something that you avoid in the future, and that will serve as signals moving forward that you don't repeat, you know? So I think more than anything, although I've been through that bullshit, it's made me stronger in the end. Okay, so quick makeup tip. That new color I put on the lid to try to give y'all this soft glam, it just looked ashy. It just looked ashy. So I'm going back on the initial shade that I used in the crease, to actually put on top of it. So I kind of use that as a base to brighten the pink. So that's what I'm doing. Okay, so to smoke up this look a little bit, I'm gonna be taking some Big Wig, which is this pretty purple shade, and then we're gonna get into point number 4, which is to not ignore the red flags. So there are a lot of red flags when it comes to people who are toxic, who are narcissistic, who are manipulative, who are going to just fuck up your life with their bullshit, right? Girl, I can give you a whole bunch of stuff. I would say the biggest one would be people who make it seem like everyone around them is the enemy. You ever met somebody like that, where they just like, oh, this person don't like me, everybody don't like me, nobody likes me, nobody likes me, nobody likes me, like, don't nobody like you? Damn, like, if you don't got like one friend, you know? I feel like that's a very huge flag to, you know, look out for when it comes to that, because it's like, if they feel like nobody likes them, they're going to try to make, again, like I just mentioned in my last point, the world, your world, revolve around them, and make it seem like it's just supposed to be you two against the world, which relationships are. But if your relationship won't even allow you to have friends and tries to isolate you from family and the things that you like and all that other shit, they're trying to control you. So that's definitely a huge red flag to look out for when it comes to toxic people. Another thing would definitely be the way that they talk to you, and it's like, are they quickly tempered? You know, if something comes up, is it always an argument, or are they actually trying to resolve something? Because a lot of times toxic people want to just pick fights, you know, and they don't actually want to get down to the nitty-gritty and find any type of solution. They just want to argue, fight. If that's something that somebody's trying to do with you, that might not be the person for you. If y'all can't at least communicate like two decent people in life, then no. I would say another thing too, when it comes down to a person a red flag to, you know, not ignore, is someone who cannot be honest. If they can't be honest with you, that means that they can't even be honest with themselves, and they got some shit that they need to work through, and it is not your job to help people work through their shit if they are unwilling to acknowledge it, if they're unwilling to be honest with themselves, and honestly, like I mentioned earlier, if they're unwilling to change. You know, at the end of the day, we're not going to always be our complete selves when we get into relationships, and sometimes people in relationships can help you reach your fullest potential with their love and with the knowledge and with the experiences that they've had. That can honestly help you become a better person. But if somebody don't even want to become a better person, what's the point? Because it's like you're going to just be giving and giving and giving and giving, and they're going to be taking and taking and taking, and you're going to get nothing in return, and it's literally going to be like, well, what was the point? You know how like women be trying to build men up, and then they be so upset when this man go and be with somebody else? It's because he took it all from you. You know, you didn't require him to give anything back. People only do what you allow. And if somebody fucks up once and they keep doing that same thing over and over again, and you keep taking them back, when are they ever going to learn? They're not. So don't deal with people who don't take accountability for their actions and try to become a better person. So I don't know, it's a lot of red flags, and I would definitely say, like, look up signs of a narcissist, because a lot of people run into these relationships with narcissistic people, and it's just crazy how common you think it is, and people be losing their lives out here. That's one thing I will say. You know, I won't necessarily call my situation a domestic or abusive relationship, because we ended up getting into an altercation ourselves, but it was a very toxic space where it was just always drama filled. And this is not something that was most recent, but this was a relationship that I did experience in college that has honestly affected my life in some way, in some shape or form. Like, it definitely, like, I talked about this before, but it definitely kind of, you know, what is it? It aided my depression that I went through while I was in college. And it's honestly because that person didn't want to acknowledge who they were. They didn't want to face their demons, and they didn't want to take accountability for their actions. They felt that, you know, the reason that life was shitty was because of everyone around them and not the things that they do. And they just really didn't want to take accountability for the shit and the drama that they stirred up. And for some people, it's very hard. But all in all, just don't ignore the red flags. That's all I really do have to say about that. Yeah, just don't ignore the red flags. Back to intuition, if your soul don't feel good when somebody does something, the way they talk to you, the way they move, the way they make you feel, and then, like, this is one big red flag not to ignore. Somebody does something knowing that it's wrong, and then they try to make up with you and say that they're sorry, and then they keep doing it, and 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 they have this type of air about them that, you know, they try to draw you back in. Oh baby, I'm not gonna do it again, I'm so sorry, this, that, and the third, I was just out of my mind, I need you in my life, you got to make me better. All of that bullshit, avoid it. Okay, I'm back. I put on lashes, I did some liner. I don't know exactly where these lashes came from. I will try my best to link them, but I don't know where they came from at all. So right now I'm about to cancel out some of the darkness that I do have with this Urban Decay concealer. I really like it because it has orange in it, but it's not orange concealer. Because, you know, I don't know, there was a point where everybody was just doing orange concealer, and it just used to, you could see it underneath people's foundation. That's not really my forte. So I just like to cancel out any dark marks that I have, or any redness that I might have from like some blemishes or anything like that. Okay, so for foundation, I'm going to be mixing Fenty Beauty, and then I'm also going to be mixing NARS. This done turned into like a beauty, love, relationship tutorial. Ooh, I'm running out on this NARS, poo. That is not good. Okay, so what is next on my list to talk about? Okay, so be honest and transparency. And I want to talk about where honesty gets you on both spectrums of a relationship, because there's been situations where I wasn't the most honest, and then there's been situations where people weren't honest to me, and how detrimental, you know, that affected how I trust individuals and kind of just how I maneuvered in relationships and everything. So I was in a situation where I told you guys about like the person that I was dating, and they were a bit manipulative. So when I stopped fucking with them, we still had connections and ties, not even on a romantic relationship, like on a romantic level, but it was more so like in a space where I was being manipulated, and you know, they were just kind of feeding off of that. Long story short, I was in a new relationship at that time, and I wasn't being, you know, honest with my partner, you know, about what was going on in my dating life, and like how somebody who I used to date was still affecting me. And you know, essentially I turned that into, I kind of flipped it on them, like, you know, to end our relationship. I was just kind of like, you know, I don't think you're a good partner, X, Y, and Z, because X, Y, and Z, which is so fucking immature, because it's like, how dare I, you know, make somebody feel like they're the issue in the relationship when it's really me over here not being an honest person. So I feel like a way that I could have done better in that situation was just by telling the truth. I think that at that time I was just in a space where I was so low, I didn't even care, and I didn't even like know where to begin. And I just felt like if I would have told her everything that was going on, she would have just been like, I would have felt like she didn't believe me. And you know, you got to give people the opportunity to react. You know, you can't assume. That goes back to that assuming shit. You have to literally give people the ability to react, and I didn't even give her the space to do so. So that's one way where I personally wish that I was a little bit more honest in the situation. Another situation I would say is from my most recent relationship. I feel like my partner just couldn't be honest with herself. And I mean, everybody has to go through things where, you know, in their own time, but it felt like I gave her ample space and ample time to be honest with me and to keep it a stack with me, and she didn't. And that resulted in me honestly just not trusting her and literally having a lot of resentment towards her. And the reason I felt like I wanted her to keep it so honest with me, because I had been in a situation before where I wasn't telling the truth, and I know how detrimental that was to someone else, that moving forward in all my relationships, I vowed to be honest in everything that I did. So no matter how embarrassing it was, no matter, you know, how bad it may come off, I just vowed to be honest, because at the end of the day, the worst thing that you could do is have your partner out there looking stupid and finding out shit from other people. Whether it's small or large, you don't want to embarrass nobody like that. You want, you know, your partner to know everything that's going on, so that in the event somebody do come to them on some shit, it's like, okay, what can you know, if you speak your truth, how can somebody use it against you? But if you don't speak your truth, it literally can hurt those around you. So I just think that it's important that in all spaces you are honest with yourself. You are honest, yeah, first and foremost, be honest with yourself. You know, speak your truth, be honest with yourself, and don't be afraid to speak your truth. And if you're dealing with somebody who, you know, makes you feel like you can't speak your truth, that just might not be the person for you, you know? Or if you're in a space where you feel like you can't speak your truth, then maybe you probably don't need to be dating, you know? Because dating does require a level of vulnerability that you have to, you know, give yourself and give others, because dating is more than just sex and going on cute dates and everything like that. It's literally unmasking the really raw parts of you and kind of dealing with them, and also dealing with those things within others. Because like I said, well, I didn't mention this, but a lot of times I do think that relationships that we get in are a reflection of things that we have never, or we choose not to acknowledge. So if it's a very toxic, or I won't even say toxic because the toxic is so overplayed, but if it's a relationship where you might see a trait in somebody that you don't like, but maybe it's something that you do and you just never really acknowledged it, but now them having it or doing it towards you, it's like, damn, I don't like this, so you need to adjust. Or honestly, sometimes relationships can show you the good things about yourself, and it's either or. But relationships just require a level of vulnerability, and if you're in a space where you can't be vulnerable, you might not need to be in a relationship, because it's okay to not do that. But all in all, I just want to say it's important to be honest with your partner, and if you're with someone who can't be honest with you, then you don't need to be in a relationship with that person. Like, even the first relationship that I talked about, where I wasn't the person that was being the most honest, I had to realize that I needed to take some time after that relationship to get me together, because I had to reflect, like, dead ass. And I think that's the most important thing about relationships, and I think that's really just the most important point from this video, is like, you have to reflect on, you know, relationships and why they end, how they ended, and what role did you play in it, and how you can be better moving forward. Okay, so point number 6, point number 6 I want to make is, it is okay to walk away. So okay, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I think a lot of times people get into a space where they feel like they can heal people, and that, ooh, no, Nia, no, that's my contour shade. Okay, so like I was saying, I feel like a lot of times, and I've been there, you know, I'm speaking from experience when I'm talking about this shit, but a lot of times when people can be in a space where, you know, they feel like their love is enough, and that, you know, they can heal this person, they can change this person with their actions, and if they just do X, Y, Z, you know, things will get better, or if they stay, the person will get better, you know. And that's not the case at all the time. Like, if you feel like, you know, you've exhausted all of your efforts, and like the person is still not necessarily even accommodating you or taking accountability for their actions, and just being not the person that you wanted them to be, because I think it is important that a lot of times people need to understand that you can have this, you know, perceived connotation of what this person is supposed to be, but you have to believe people by what they show you. You know, not what you want them to be in your head and who you've made them up to be in your head, or who they were in the beginning. No, you have to believe people in that present moment, because a person could be one way and they could be absolutely different, and people bring their best representative to the table. You know, everybody has demons that they're fighting, and some people are more vulnerable and able to talk about them than others. And those people who try to mask it and hide it and not acknowledge it and stuff it down and suppress it, those are the people that you kind of probably don't need to be with, because at the end of the day, your love literally will never be enough. Because no matter how much you pour into them, how much you give them, how much you try to support them, be there for them, if they don't want to change for themselves, they'll never change. So all in all, if you feel like you've exhausted everything that you can, you've given them everything that you can give, and it's literally not enough, walk away. And it's not that your love is not enough, it's not enough for them, but let your love be enough for you, and your love will literally be enough for the right person. So I think it's just very important to acknowledge that some relationships literally serve as a lesson, and well, not even some, all relationships serve as a lesson, but everybody's not the person that you're supposed to be with. Everyone isn't your twin flame or your soulmate or the person that you're supposed to spend eternity with. And I think a lot of times people get history and things that y'all been through and all the time that y'all spent and the years that y'all had, as they let that serve as love when it's not. And I see that with a lot of older generations with women. Oh, I've been with him since I was 15 and he knows me, but he's cheated on you, and he's continuously cheated on you, and he's continuously lied on you, and you keep taking him back, and he has kids on you. He doesn't value you. Yes, y'all have been together for so long, but does it even really matter? Does that time matter? No. Because a new man can come in your life today, sweep you off your feet, and be solid 100%. So you can't get so wrapped up in people's potential. Okay, number 7. This is something I just said in this past point, but I want to really stress the importance of like knowing that love is not enough. And I'm not saying that love is not important and like you shouldn't be in love and you shouldn't, or even be in like, but love and like, or you know, those feelings are not enough. You can love someone with your whole heart, your whole mind, body, soul, but if they, you know, they're not something as simple as kind to you, loyal to you, honest to you, is love, is that all you're going to continue to lean on when it comes to that situation? It's like, you know, they don't treat me good, they cheat on me, but I love them. You know, they don't, you know, listen to me when we have conversations, but I mean, I love them. And that's why I think it's so important to understand like having self-love, because if you love yourself, you will know not to accept those types of things from other people. You know, you have a standard, you know that what you require, you know that no, love isn't enough. Like, I love myself enough to know that I should walk away from the situation because it doesn't serve me. You know, it's not always enough. Like, love has to come accompanied with reciprocity. It has to come with kindness. It has to come with understanding. It has to come with accountability. It has to come with honesty, loyalty. It has to come with just being a genuine person and being a genuine partner. And I feel like, you know, that's how good situations and relationships thrive, is by understanding, you know, who your partner is and being the best partner, you know, and aiming to be the best partner. Because I don't believe in fairy tale love. I don't think that no situation is perfect. I think that, you know, people go through trials, they go through tribulations, and they go through situations that might be difficult. I don't think that love is easy, and I don't think that having a good relationship is easy. I think that having a good relationship takes work, but it also takes two people willing to work through it. And I've seen a lot of people become in situations where they're just unhappy. Like, they're in it because it's, especially with older couples and people who have children involved, you know, they're mostly in it for the kids. They're in it because they've been together this long. And I just rambled about that, but that's not enough. Like, are y'all happy? Are y'all learning more about each other? Are y'all growing individually? Are y'all coming together, and are you guys one? That's what it's about. So love is not enough when it comes to, you know, relationships. Okay, so another thing, this is point number 8. It is to reflect on all relationships and take accountability for your role. So in my most recent relationship, I definitely could have been more cognizant of my partner's feelings and, you know, things that they have experienced in life, and how I could have created a better environment for them to express themselves. But I will also say, well, no, I'll just take my accountability, because that's a lot of times what people do. But you did this, but you do this. No, and this is what I did. This is the role that I played in the situation, and this is what I could have provided for the situation to, I won't necessarily even say be better, but this is how I could have, you know, avoided some things. Also, when it comes to situations that might not necessarily even be in your favor, when it came to my very toxic relationship that I was in, the role that I played in that situation is I could have walked away sooner. I could have acknowledged those red flags and said, you know, because I love myself so much, and because, you know, I want X, Y, Z in a partner, and this person only has 2 of those 10 things that's on the list, this is not the partner for me. I don't have to sit in this situation longer than I need to. I don't have to be someone's, I don't have to be this person's everything. I think that person wanted me to be their everything, and they wanted the world to revolve around them. And that's just not what it is. You know, I have to really just sit down and acknowledge, you know, when shit goes left, or when relationships don't work out, or even if they worked out, but they just, even when relationships don't end on bad terms, you know, how can you sit back and reflect and, you know, what can you take away from that relationship? I learned this about myself. I learned this about people, and then moving forward, this is how I'm going to maneuver through a situation, because I'm a firm believer that everything in life is a test sometimes. And, you know, if you don't learn about the patterns that you have when it comes to relationships and the actual test that will be thrown your way, you will continue to be in situations like that. A lot of times people do date the same type of partners because they vibrate at that type of level and they attract those type of people, but also they continue to accept the things that those types of people give them, so they keep finding themselves in these patterns. That goes back to self-love. You have to have the will to change and say, hey, I will no longer accept that. But literally, all in all, when it comes to this point, I just really want to say that it's important to take accountability for the shit that you played in a situation without saying, but they did this. No, what did you do in that situation? How could you have done better? And then also, when looking at the relationship that you were in, what did you learn from it? You know, reflect on it, and how can you make it better, or how can you be a better person moving forward in the next space? Okay, so number 9, this is something that I have been having difficulty with, for good reasons. I've been hurt a lot when it comes to situations. I am still optimistic about relationships and life, and I'm optimistic. I think sometimes we get so hurt and we get so damaged. I don't think I'm damaged, but we get so hurt and we get so damaged that we put these really big walls up, and we don't want to let anyone in because we initially think that everyone's out to get us, everyone wants to hurt us, no one's good for us, right? So it's hard for us to acknowledge when potentially somebody can come into our lives, and it can be, you know, what you looked for in a partner. They can be love, essentially. They can be a good friend to you, they can be a good partner to you, they can provide you reciprocity, they can be kind to you, they can be loving, they can be caring to you, you know, without having a, you know, another intention. I can't think of the word but without having an ulterior motive. They can come into your life without that. I do think that accepting love is accepting love from yourself, accepting love from others, but also accepting love from the right people. I do think that it is imperative in life for you to take some time to really get to know yourself. You know, a lot of times, and even me, and at one point in my life, I just jumped from relationship to relationship, and a lot of times I was doing that especially because I was just running from problems, and I was also just not trying to come to the reality of what was going on within me. So it's like a lot of times people jump from person to person hoping that they can, it's a distraction sometimes, you know. And I'm sorry I'm going and jumping everywhere. Let me get some blush real quick. But yeah, a lot of times people try to jump into relationships for the wrong reasons. They want to, you know, run away from their realities and run away from their responsibilities and run away from their demons, hoping that somebody can save them. You know, the only person that can save you is you, and sometimes you need professional help. But the other times, you know, I think that's what some people do, and like I said, I've done that. But you have to know at some point you have to come to the realization at some point that nobody can save you but yourself. And if you think that a relationship is going to make you happy, no. Like, if you're not happy with yourself, you'll never be happy within a relationship. But even though I just got off on that tangent, I just really want to stress the importance of just accepting love, you know, not however it may come, but just understanding that there are good things out there. Everything is not necessarily negative, and it's very, very hard to not have up a wall. It's been hard for me to be vulnerable. It's even hard for me sometimes to be vulnerable on this platform, because I know that if I'm more vulnerable with myself, that also allows someone else the space to be vulnerable with themselves. And it's not easy to trust people. Like, I definitely think it's important to have good judgment, have good discernment, and again, back to my point earlier, you know, trusting your intuition and leading a life with your intuition. You know, if it doesn't feel bad, don't be so timid about it, you know. And if anybody can help me articulate accepting love more, definitely let me know in the comments. Like, just kind of, you know, expand upon that a little bit more for those out there who might need a little bit more guidance when it comes to accepting love. All right, y'all, so this is the completed look. I did this cute finger coil look, and if you like it, definitely go check that out. And I just want to leave you all with this message, because a lot of people like really think that this is a requirement when it comes to relationships, when it comes to friendships ending, when it comes to anything ending. And I'm sorry that this rant or this like talk or whatever, you know, my chit chat get ready with me is more so, I won't say it's necessarily focused on the negatives when it comes to love, but it's just in relationships, but it's more so just the real shit. Like, this is stuff that happens. I personally do not believe that every single situation that you end requires closure. You know, a lot of people want to continue to have these conversations, you know, about what took place, what they didn't like, and you know, they want to have those conversations with the people like, you hurt me, why did you do this? They want these answers. My thing is, if they couldn't give you those answers then, what makes you think that they can give you those answers now? Do I think that every situation is the same when it comes to closure? No, but I personally don't necessarily think that closure is necessary. I think that's my biggest thing, because you have to find closure, and you have to find peace within yourself whenever situations are good or they're bad. Those are things that you have to work through yourself or with a professional. But if you've been in a relationship with the whole time, if they confused you, that's your answer. You know, that is your closure. They didn't have the decency to provide you clarity. Do I think that all situations, you know, don't need people to have mature conversations? No, I don't think I think people should try to talk things out and try to get some type of understanding. But when it comes to like closure, like I feel like that sometimes could be people beating a dead horse with a stick, something like that. But honestly, I hope you all enjoyed this look. I feel cute, like this blue hair, this pink. I'm sorry, but I really don't know who I am. I just look very vibrant, and I'm giving you auntie. Like, I definitely probably drive a neon. I mean, I probably drive a Nissan, and I take my damn kids to football, but I like it. If you have anything that you feel like I missed, anything that you know that you can contribute to the conversation, the dialogue, please let me know, or please let everybody know, honestly, in the comments below. We would love to have your intellect in the conversation. I'm wishing everyone a successful, a loving, a joyous Valentine's Day, whether you're single or if you're in a relationship. I hope that you have a very safe time. I hope you have a loving time, and I just hope you enjoy yourself. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will catch you all in my next video. Bye.